partly the good news is that Windows has now started where new builds will no longer have SMB v1 enabled by default. You have to purposefully turn it on. Wow, I'm not gonna have the patience to wait for this, so we're gonna open a new one. And that's gonna break my camera, of course it is. And because when I do the little UAC, it breaks every time. So we're back. So what we're gonna do now is take a look at this. So SMB v1, like I said, by default in Windows, it is now turned off unless you turn it on in new builds. Existing builds of Windows, you know, anything will have it turned on by default, so you will need to turn it off. So one thing that we have done is we have made a monitoring, and it's in the cookbook. So if we go to the cookbook real quick, I go here and I go and search for SMB, because that's the easiest one. Disable SMB v1, enable SMB v2. That's the one I was talking about. So this one is basically gonna turn it off and on. That's a batch file, so it's just a regular script, super easy. But there should also be, I thought I had another one. Nope. I thought we did. Yeah, I do. So I do have also a monitoring for SMB v1. So what some people wanted to do is simply monitor it, because I don't want to turn it off for everybody, because I'm gonna have some very angry people if they need it for legacy purposes, right? A lot of banks, a lot of car dealerships and companies that use older legacy type of applications tend to have SMB v1 enabled and actually need it. So if you go ahead and turn it off for everybody, you may have a lot of angry people. So what this script actually does, super easy. It will go through and detect if SMB v1 is enabled. I don't know if Windows 11 even allows it anymore. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so in my case, it is saying that SMB v1 is disabled, which is great. And then if it turns out it is enabled, it would trigger a failed policy. So if you are in RMM, what you can do is you can actually have it as a check. And you could say, is SMB v1 enabled? Then if it is, you can actually go into your active issues view. And from your active issues, you have the ability to get an alert when people turn it on, or if it is turned on any customer of yours. What this gives you then is the ability to know that someone is using it's giving you the ability to know that it's there without taking the action. Now you could go one step further and do a self-healing from it, right? So if I go into here, I could go to my asset and then say, you know, on this script check, let's see, that would be the one. You could then add a task that says when that check is failed, run this. But this is very aggressive, right? So if you have customers that need that as a legacy, you would be basically monitoring it, fixing it, and just cleaning it up, which a lot of people will just get mad. So that is something that to be careful about. So my usual approach for something like SMB v1 that might be needed is to do an alerting like this. So super easy. You would simply take the script I'm talking about, go in Script Manager, upload it as a script check for Windows. You call it SMB v1, blah, blah, blah. You upload the script. You then apply it as a check. Once you've done that, you see all the failed ones. You export the list. You go talk to your customer. They're like, hey, why is this enabled? It's a security risk. I'm your trusted advisor. You need to rely on me. Unless you need it, we're going to turn this off. Then when they agree to it, you can just select all, run, turn off, boom, move on with your life. That's great. Or if it turns out they need it, then you leave it alone. But I would leave the check failed so that you're aware of that, because that way you know if anything does happen that this could be part of the issue, and that's great. And similarly, if you know that the customer does not need SMB v1 under any circumstances, you can actually do the monitoring with a self-heal and